Now, it's a Thursday, like we always say, we bring you something exciting. And welcome to another edition of Powering Your Future, that is with the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. And today we are discussing electrification. Isn't that something we all think about, especially when you're thinking about your village and you're like, solar is the way to go, but also, hey, there's a couple of things I need to think about when it comes to going back home. But that's not where the conversation is at. It's much bigger than that. Think 2040, but I'm not the one to say that. All I can tell you is that the ministry has set a target for universal access, which will then seek to electrify between 300,000 and 400,000 houses. That's around the country by 2040. I have somebody who's going to have this conversation extended. He is, of course, the Deputy Director in the Energy Directorate. His portfolio is Energy Planning and Research at the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. And it is Mr. Abraham Hangula. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Shante. Thanks for having me, and good morning to your listeners.
Thank you so much. I think to make it fair for everybody, let's get into what is meant by this universal electrification in Namibia. When we say universal electrification, I'm sure somebody's thinking we're making it up, so please help us.
Okay. We're not making it up, but it's a good question. Thanks. Mm-hmm. So universal is pretty much just that, universal. Yeah. Everybody is covered. Mm-hmm. So as a ministry, we set a target so to have universal access.
Okay.
Let's get away from the technical term, but the idea is that we want to have every single household in the country electrified.
All right.
That's what we target.
I touched on a little bit of, when you speak of every single household, we usually go to a number, or we usually go to how many. Let's quickly touch on that. How many households in Namibia when we speak of then the lack of electricity?
Sure.
Can you share a figure with us?
All right. Now, of course, that's a moving target.
Yeah.
Like the number that we have is the official number that was communicated to us by the National Statistics Agency through the census. So we have some 755,000 households in the country, according to the census. Yeah. Of those, about 300,000 plus are electrified.
Okay.
Yeah, so that means there's about around 400. So I'm using around because, again, being a moving target, it's of course moved since the census results were published. Yeah.
So numbers are there to help us, and the ministry realized, listen, there's probably a deficit of this much, and that's why we're looking at 300,000 to 400,000 houses. Can you tell us more about the ministry's electrification policy and how it actually seeks to address that issue?
All right, sure thing. All right, now starting with those numbers, knowing that, and again, maybe let me steal the president's terms here. Yeah. Way too small to be poor. Okay. Those are not big, huge numbers at all. So if we have 700,000 households, 400 of those not electrified. So we needed to set a target that is realistic. Okay. You could align it to Vision 2030, but that's good ambition, but it's not realistic. Yeah. Knowing where we at in our pace of electrifying. True. So we stretched it to 2040. So the idea is then that by 2040, let's really put our efforts. Let's get together and see if we can electrify all those households, the ones that are not electrified currently.
All right. Yeah. Well, you have an opportunity to extend your question, that is to Mr. Hangula, by sharing with us, that is your message via our WhatsApp line. That's 083 0001099. I know you're thinking a couple of things I'm thinking. And one of those is, how will these households be electrified? We'll get into that conversation right after this.
The Ministry of Mines and Energy is the cornerstone of Namibia's natural resource management, safeguarding our country's geological, mineral, and energy assets. From fueling homes to driving industries, we regulate the entire spectrum of mining and energy sectors, ensuring responsible development from small-scale operations to large-scale enterprises. We prioritize sustainability, balancing economic growth with environmental stewardship to ensure a prosperous future for all Namibians. At the Ministry of Mines and Energy, we go beyond managing resources. We power progress, illuminate opportunities, and secure the future for generations to come. Harnessing our resources, powering our future.
Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy are bringing you that electrification policy. Yeah, I almost said process, but policy. And we have, that is the Deputy Director in the Energy Directorate, Mr. Abraham Hangula, who is, of course, giving us an insight in terms of that. If this is new to your ears for the very first time, I'm glad you tuned in, because then you're getting it right from the people who are working with it. We're getting all the answers to the questions that you have, and part of it is also in terms of the the process in itself, how it will also then, support Namibia's development goals and the in-betweens. But before I get to that, Mr. Hangula, maybe just for the listener who just tuned in and they're thinking, we can't be alone. Darkness, electrification policy. What are you guys talking about? So let's maybe just rewind a little bit to that. Just give us a quick overview. When we speak of the 2040 vision in terms of the electrification policy, what are we talking about?
Okay, no, sure. So the vision, you can also put it like that, as put in the policy, is really to have everybody electrified. Mm-hmm. And electrified in this case, we want modern energy, people that should be able to switch on a light and, toggle and that comes on. Yeah. So we want to do that by 2040. So that means, again, of the 400 odd households that do not have modern electricity, the ministry is working towards having all of those houses electrified somehow. Yes.
Nice. Next question would then be, how will these households then be electrified?
Very good. Yeah, so it's a mammoth task.
Okay.
We know the demographics, the layout of the country. Mm-hmm. We understand the economics. Yeah. Namibia is ranked as one of the most unequal countries in terms of income. Mm-hmm. So the combination of those two really make it difficult. Yeah. So if I can just quickly go to the demographics. Mm-hmm. So Namibia has got a land space of, it's large, 820 square kilometer odd, with only about 3 million people. So that means our population density is some 3 persons per square kilometer. Okay. And do tell me if I'm getting technical here. Hopefully not, yeah?
We're with you.
So that means for every square kilometer, on average, you have 3 households. Okay. Now, compare that to a country like South Africa, where the density is 60, 70.
Much larger.
So you are literally having, in our case, 3 people that would have to pay for the infrastructure to provide electricity to those 3 households versus countries where you have 60 people. So that contributes to the affordability issue. So it costs us much, much more to electrify those 3 households in the square kilometer. Okay. And again, that's on average. Of course, in a city, the situation is a bit different. And this whole issue of, they call it the Gini coefficient, the coefficient economist. So the gap between the haves and the have-nots is really, really large. And unfortunately, it just happens to be that the people that you are trying to reach, more often than not, fall in that category of people that do not have. So what we are trying to do here is reach people that really do not have the highest income and give them a facility or services through infrastructure that would cost the highest anywhere in the world, pretty much. So when we are being slow, or people look at us as really a small country, why is it that we are not reaching these people? Those factors do play a role. Okay. All right. And again, Namibia is a small on a different scale as well. Our economy is really, really small. Let's not get into the details of that. So that means you're getting from a pool of resources, not so much. Electrifying, people that would really in technical jargon, last mile. Yeah. So they are the furthest, and it costs extremely expensive. Okay. So hopefully that's not a justification for why we are not perhaps doing it faster. Yeah. But I think those are reasons that you want to consider when going out to electrify. Okay.
One of our listeners extended a question, and they are, curious. Is this a process they can apply for in terms of electrification for their homes? Can they apply for their homes to be electrified?
For their homes to be electrified? Okay, sure. Just hold on that question. Yeah. If households can apply, I'll get into that. Okay. So building on what I just started. Yes. So, and you asked the question on the process. How do we intend to electrify all these people? Now, the best by far is a household getting connected to the network. Okay. People might call it the NEMPA network, the NORAD network, the RONGORAD network, SINORAD network, Sitio-Benduk network. So we call that the grid, yeah? So if I'm talking about the grid, I hope people understand what that is. So it's that network, the national network. Yeah. That is by far the best. Okay. Because it gives you, unlimited energy in your house. So if you want to have an application that uses lots of energy, that's what you want. You want to be connected to the grid.
Yeah.
Now, coming to that question, so if you are in an urban area and you are not electrified, absolutely. You go to whoever's your distributor where you at.
Okay.
So if you're in the city of Windhoek, you're living in an urban area, you apply, they come and connect you if you are not connected.
Okay.
Because based on the statistics that we got from NSA, some 20-odd people in urban areas are not connected.
Okay.
Yeah, so for that, the distributors, you can absolutely go to them, you apply, you connect. They connect you, yeah?
Right.
For a cost, of course, obviously. Yes, so that's the one way to do it. And everybody in the urban area should absolutely be connected to the grid. Let me not say that, should not. It's ideal to be connected to the grid, and it's just provided for. But you have people that are in the outskirts of cities.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little remote, perhaps?
Say?
A little remote?
Not quite remote.
Okay.
So you're, what's the right word to refer to them? Peri-urban?
Okay.
Peri-urban, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So that becomes a little bit more tricky.
All right.
Whereas in urban, the infrastructure is available, and the city can just connect you if you're in the city of Windhoek, or it can connect you. Out there, sometimes the infrastructure is not there, so a lot more support is required.
Okay.
Now, that's where the ministry has come in. We are working with the various distributors to see if we can help the distributors to get the infrastructure to those peri-urban localities, but also they also become very tricky. So they are not formalized, So you need to know where your roads are, the sewer, water, etc., etc.
Okay.
So for some of those people, you can't now just go to the city and say, "Can I get electrified, please?" They need to are you formalized? Are you somewhere where so that if a road does, get to you or the sewer, your house will not have to be appended later in the future.
Yeah.
So hence 2014. For such, it's not just an issue of electrify.
Yeah.
We want to work with all the other services. We want to make sure that the roads, etc., etc.
Okay.
That will take a process. So we're working with the Ministry of Urban, for example. That's also now the line ministry for all the local authorities, your cities and towns, to formalize. And as soon as that formalization is done, we then get the electricity to those people as well.
All right.
So for those people, I want to say, please be please be patient.
Yeah.
We have done a lot already.
Okay.
We've, my minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, recently inaugurated some projects that we, the ministry, funded in the city. He's going to do the same for Erongored and Nored.
All right.
But that does take a process.
Okay.
So that's one way of doing it. So maybe let me pause here if there's a question from your listeners.
Matter of fact, we are going to continue with much more of those questions. That's Mr. Abraham Hangula. He is the Deputy Director in the Energy Directorate at the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. But because we need to get to something that you are also keen on getting to, we're getting to your news real quick. When we get back on the other side of things, we will continue. Our sincere apologies for the delay.
Namibia's energy future is bright, driven by innovation and our commitment to sustainability. At the Ministry of Mines and Energy, we ensure affordable and reliable security of energy supply. With goals anchored on renewable energy and diversifying our energy sources, we're building a resilient future focused on harnessing the power of nature. From our cities to the most remote villages, powering industries, uplifting communities, and fostering economic growth. Harnessing our resources, powering our future.
And still back with us is Mr. Abraham Hangula, who is the Deputy Director in the Energy Directorate, talking to us about that is the target that the ministry has set to reach universal access by 2040. Now, earlier we got to touch in on a question from one of the listeners who basically wanted to know, if I want my household to be electrified, can I apply for it? And you, of course, touched on it, but I think just for just to make sure everybody gets it and somebody who might have just gotten to the radio also gets in on that information. Let's rewind to that. For that individual who wants to know, can I apply for my household to be electrified? Is that something that is possible? And are there any processes and considerations in that regard?
Sure. I touched on it, but suppose I could build on that.
Yeah.
So absolutely. And again, it's because it's contextual, yeah?
Yeah.
So it depends where you at. So I took an example of you're in the city.
Yeah.
You're in the city and you're in an urban setup. And you are not electrified, similar to how you're in the city and something is wrong with your electricity for whatever reason. Yeah. So the city of Windhoek could have a helpline, or you would have processes through which you can go to the city of Windhoek, the electricity department. You put in a request. Yeah. If it's a complaint, you log that complaint. And similar to how a technician and electrician would come out to your place to fix whatever the issue is. Yeah. So if you need to get electrified, and you're not currently electrified already as well. So in the city of Windhoek, it's really just as simple as that. You call them up, they give you the processes, they will explain based on where you at, how much it might cost you, etc., etc. All right? It's the same pretty much everywhere. So if you're out in the coast and you also have a similar issue, because they're in the coast, Swakop, welfare centers, you have Erongo Red, the Usakos Karibep. They would have satellite offices everywhere. Yeah. So you can make contact with them, call them. If you can go to the office, you can go to them. You explain it to them. They will always give you the details on how you have to go about. Okay. Yeah. So that applies to, I don't want to go to every NORAD. Yeah. We're working on a distributor that will also give such services to people in the south. That's the Hadap and the Karas regions. Okay. So that process is by and large similar. It's the details that would be different depending on where you're at. Okay. All right. So that's in an urban setup, but there's also, of course, rural. I mentioned the peri-urban. Yeah. So in this case, we can almost lump them. So peri-urban is somewhat urban, but of course, there's the issue of formalization. Yeah. So that is a little bit nuanced, because you can't just go if you're not formalized or there's no infrastructure. So for that, it's a little bit tricky. If you're out in a rural area, though, let's say, that becomes a little bit tricky. Okay. And maybe to just talk of the trickiness of the rural, let me quickly get back to the urban again. Okay. Electrification is costly, really, really costly. Yeah? So as a ministry, like I indicated, we are working with the city of Windhoek, the distributors, the REDs, to electrify households. Yeah. So we did so last year, and our numbers are coming out to, depending on, again, where you are, electrifying a house, just the infrastructure alone. So you need a transformer close by, you need all sorts of cables and poles erected, meters, It cost, the cheapest in the country is the city of Windhoek, according to our data right now. Yeah. It's anywhere between 20 to 30 to 35,000. Okay. That's just to bring the services to your house. Now, if you are paying for that, you want to also think around, is that the best way to electrify? Because we do have other means of electrification. Okay. They do have their limitations, and I'm specifically talking about solar systems. Yeah. So nothing prevents you from putting a solar system on your house to electrify or to give those electrification services. Okay. Very similar concept. It's electrons that you want that will give you the lights, that will power your electronic equipment, etc., etc. And going back to the process of application. Now, such technology, you can obviously just go to any supplier of such technology and you buy it yourself. Yeah. The cost will depend on your needs, so you can then tailor the system to your needs. If all you need is lights, such a system can cost you as little as 4,000 or 5,000. Okay. So that's compared to 30,000, 40,000 to get the grid to your house. Yeah. Okay. Right, and it's yours. You don't have to pay that a monthly bill. But, of course, the batteries will run out after some time, and you have to replace those. So you want to play around with that, yeah? If you have big appliances, and that system can cost you anyway about 50,000, 60,000, the ministry has a fund. Okay. We call it the Solar Revolving Fund. Yeah. It allows for individuals, households, to approach us. Yeah. You apply for a system, we give you a maximum of 60,000. Okay. I will verify that figure, but I think it's 60,000 for what we call a solar home system. So what that is just you put solar panels up on your roof, you have a battery to store the energy during the day, then you have your switch gear, so it's, in a way it's mimicking what you would get from the grid, But because it's limited, your batteries might not be able to power a stove. Okay. It can in principle, but that's maybe not smart. So if you have such a system, it is smarter to then get a gas stove.
Okay.
People that are on the grid are also telling me that it's just generally smarter to get gas.
Okay.
I don't have a gas stove, I don't know, but that's what people are saying. So, but yeah, in that case, you could do that. The ministry, at the same vein, also gives a loan for solar water heaters.
Okay.
So yeah, those bulky, sometimes not very good looking units that you put up on your roof.
Yeah.
They work. I have one on my roof.
Okay.
Yeah. So the loan there is, I think, 35. It might have increased to 50 or so.
Okay.
Those are quite bulky units. But where those help, bulky and expensive, the average household, if you appreciate, showering with warm water, between 40 to 60% of your electricity bill is due to that, geyser, the electrical geyser.
Yeah.
So that, depending on where you at, could be anything between $300, $500, $600, $1,000.
Okay.
If you get a loan and get a solar geyser, that geyser works throughout the year. If you really appreciate that you want your water heated all the time, and I know I digress here, you can have a backup to the grid, but it saves you that money, and that money you can use to pay a loan for such a unit.
Okay.
And the calculations are that it pays for itself after 3, 4, 5 years. So it's a really, really good investment, and the ministry makes that available.
All right.
So there are all these solutions, technologies that you can use to electrify yourself. So although the grid, again, are promoted as the best thing to get to the masses, to the houses, there are other options. And the Solar Revolving Fund can absolutely help you with that.
All right. Well, also getting on to something, we're talking about the vision that the ministry has in terms of electrifying households, and this is by 2040. How will or is this progress being measured?
Okay. All right. So the ministry is policymaker. We work with quite a number of entities. Yeah. We are in the process of discussing agreement, some kind of understanding with the statistics agency. They are helping us with data. So as the nationally mandated office that deals with data, so we're working with them. Yeah. So there's help through that, but the immediate direct entities that we are working with, the REDS and the city of Windhoek, etc., etc. So they do, and they report the figures in terms of how many households are being connected. We're hopefully getting to a point where we also know vis-a-vis how many are being built. So if you want to check what percentage of households are connected, of course, you must also consider the growth. So it's really, it's getting there. I don't think it's where it should be, where you have perhaps a centralized data center where everybody puts their data in. But through collaboration and cooperation, we can tell you that we have electrified so many households this year. And we can then track it through that. It's not the smartest way. We're working on processes and databases and software that can track it better for us. But at the moment, that's where we're at.
All right. Well, it also looks like we are coming to the end of this week's edition of Powering Our Future with the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. But of course, before I let you off onto that one, maybe just as you share with us any final words, is there a place perhaps somebody can go to? Is there a website? Is there a number? I do know my listeners are in a space where they're like, you spoke of a fund, so I can get a loan. Giza what? Bulk where? We're not going to leave them hanging, so it would be great if you can also extend that information to us in your final words.
Chande, it's unfortunate. Time is never enough, is it?
It's never.
Look, I was going to get to rural as well. I think we have quite a number of people that would want to know what about me out there in the rural localities. When
touch on it quickly.
Exactly. So those would be, again, what I refer to as last mile. So really, really very difficult to. Now, the policy is, or the vision, as you put it, is 2040. Please be patient. We're in 2025 now, 15 years. So when you talk of 2040, that means that there's a possibility that there are still people out there for whom they must deal with 15 years, unfortunately. Now, we have done some strides, and what we are trying to do is this solar thing that I'm talking of, those households that are really, really far off. I spoke of the city of Windhoek being 30,000 to connect the household.
Yeah.
Going out there, it can go into the hundreds of thousands. 200,000, and I'm sure some listeners would already be aware, would have paid that much. Now, not everybody can do that. So how are we doing it as a ministry? I think that can be a talk on its own. So I hope you can have me back at some point.
Definitely.
But there are projects that we've done. I'm not going to get into where we've done. Yeah. And we're working with the regional councils, local authorities, etc., etc. But again, we're out of time. Let me just maybe in terms of last words, I mentioned the Solar Revolving Fund. Now, that's a fund that I think we don't promote sufficiently, and there's more uptake on that fund, so that people can really still apply to the ministry to get that. Information is available on our website, the ministry.
All right.
Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. If you Google it up, you get to where the pamphlets are.
All right.
We try our best to give it at every regional office so that it's not just here at the ministry.
Okay, nice.
I know that my colleagues will be in the Zambezi region for a trade fair that's starting early next month or so.
All right.
So at such platforms, the ministry would always have a booth where we'd have colleagues that are going to give you the pamphlet and the application form, etc.
Okay.
So we try to be at everywhere. But otherwise, if you have access to the net, of course, the website would be the place to go.
And I think if you do get a little lost somewhere, somehow, you can also extend it to the social media platforms. I do know that DMing is also a very good way. So if you have a query, maybe you need a number, maybe you forgot about the website, just get onto the ministry's social media. And there's that messaging option for you to actually get in on that. And I have actually used that before, and they are quite timely in terms of responding.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Adding that, I didn't get to that.
I'm a user, so I think it also just gets to help in on that, because then different people have different ways to go about it. It could be that somebody heard you saying we can get onto the website, but then they didn't get onto which ministry we're referring to. But, it could be anything, really. It's just a great way to get that information. Well, Mr. Hangula, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right. Well, of course, there's still so much talk around this that we need to extend, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be having him back. I know you have a couple of more questions as well. We're definitely going to touch on that, hopefully much sooner than later. That was the Thursday edition, that is of the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy, powering your future.
Feel good on 99 FM.